Get started.
Getting started.
Yay. All right. You want to
Batter up.
call Kevin? You want me to do it?
Sure. Mark Harrington,
Here.
Joe Hayberger,
Here. Tammy King.
Mike Zuloff,
Yeah, he's here.
Kevin Zier,
Yeah.
Carl,
Kevin's here.
Tim.
Miller.
Tim King.
Here.
Hey.
Hey, yes. I think we got a quorum.
We do have
Dave
a
Miller,
quorum. Yeah, we do have a quorum. Yes, the only ones absent are
And our city
Mrs.
commissioner.
Corso and Dr. Siemens.
he's in Keys.
That's what I thought. Okay, that answers it. So Dr. Siemens is on vacation, so that's why we don't have minutes.
He's sailing. It's probably work.
Well, he's going there first and then he's gonna sail.
That's not work for Billy, come
No,
on.
it isn't.
Probably gets paid for it.
He's not racing,
He's,
so.
he's not?
No.
He's
Hard to
having
believe.
fun.
Hard to believe.
All right. We do not have minutes with the absence of Dr. Siemens, who is going to try to get the two past meetings caught up before he left. So we'll move on to new business. Anyone have any new business this morning? It's a quiet group. All right. Excuse me.
Are we done?
Well, for now. Old business, Columbus Avenue
Got
streetscape.
two old businesses.
They're working.
Yeah, they are. Just a few updates there.
Yes.
Yeah, milestones every day, pretty much. So this is drawing from Megan Stuckey's April 2nd update. So work on Tuesday wrapped up with pouring in the concrete intersection table at West Water Street and Columbus Avenue. And I've got a photo that I'll show you here in a sec. They completed the tear out of the east side of Columbus Avenue from Water to Market Street, but for about a 6-foot sidewalk line still there. And brick paver installation is happening along the west side. They've completed the tear out of the roadway and proof rolled it to prepare for this final surface. That means on road building, they build up that roadway base and then they roll it and then they test it with heavy vehicles to make sure it's not gonna make any trenches, to make sure it's a nice stable roadway base. So it's essentially gonna be ready for asphalt when those plants open. We continue to wait on word from the asphalt plants on their opening day, but we're scheduled to be top priority. They have to wait until certain weather markers are hit before they can open. So traffic will be on that stone road base for a while until we get asphalt on the road.
Excuse me,
continued.
what, weather markers? What,
So asphalt can't cure correctly until it's warm enough.
okay, thank you, yeah.
And I don't know exactly how they draw that line when they decide to open.
Got it, yeah.
Work continued on conduit installation underground, brick paver installation, and light pole foundations yesterday. For today, on April 3rd, crews will be in to remove the street lighting along the east side of Columbus Avenue. And in order to do that, there's no parking signs today from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Once that work is completed, we will restore parking. In addition, crews will complete forming the table intersection at Market Street in Columbus and pour concrete at Market. There's also a lot of behind-the-scenes work going on, assembly of the water fountains, the benches, the street amenities, getting that stuff ready for when it's time to bring it onto site. And by the weekend, the vehicular traffic will be restored at West Water Street and Columbus Avenue. And then here's some expectations for next week. The detour route is going to be reset for the week of April 7th, and we're going to start opening up the West Water Street intersection as the access point to Columbus Avenue, and work's going to begin on the East Water Street intersection. At the same time, they'll restore the concrete and the curb ramp along Daly's. So they're going to start pouring concrete around Daly's on the east side next week. Along the east side of Columbus in the 100 block, they're going to start laying the conduit and the light pole base foundations. And then along the west side of Columbus, you'll see the brick paver crews are going to continue working their way up the street and installing the pavers. Up near Washington Park, crews continue to install the light pole and traffic signal bases to prepare that area for concrete. So they have like 3 or 4 crews all the time, so that's why you'll see some work going on up here, going on down there, and they're just moving along as quickly as they can to get to get out of here. As for concrete placement in the 100 block, the contractor is expecting that to take place in a few weeks, so potentially late in the week of April 14th or the week of April 21st. And they're in continuous communication with all of those business owners and tenants along that area so they know what's coming. They need to see what work they can get completed next week and better gauge the dates for concrete. And Megan is sending these updates really regularly now because so much work is happening. And I have a couple of photos to show too. So you're looking at a drone photo that Mr. Horstman took. So you can see the planter bases on the west side are in, and they have concrete in this amenity zone. That's what is going to be filled with brick pavers as the landscaper is coming through and installing those pavers. But most of the concrete work is finished. They're building out the base for the table intersections now, is what we just discussed. So they're working on the west side of Water first, then the east side of Water and the west side of Market. Well, that's not the picture I was expecting. So this is what it looks like right now on the east side of the street. So they pulled that sidewalk and everything out, starting to get ready for the work on the east side. This is that table intersection being poured on the west part of Water Street. So that will be our driving surface. And when that is cured as part of the necessary joint cutting in there, and then also a pattern will be cut. So the sidewalk will be cut into that, and then a larger pattern on the driving surface. That's going to be the finished elevation. It's really interesting when you're out there to see the difference in elevation, the old roadway and our new roadway, which we brought down as much as possible on purpose. This is what those curves look like when they're getting ready to be poured, and that a different angle on that intersection. And then this is that road base we talked about. So they have compacted that and put in the necessary layers and tested that to make sure it's safe for driving, and it's ultimately fairly prepped for asphalt when that's ready. And they'll be making lanes for traffic to drive on that road base until we get asphalt.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Dick.
were you able to lower the road base due to the elimination of the tracks? Is that, because I assume that you've got layer after layer after layer.
Yeah, so there's a lot of layers to the roadway, and as they had resurfaced over the years, it continued to build up. So that crown was really, really high, and it felt like you were walking uphill and downhill to cross the street. So one of the goals of the project was to even that out. Obviously, we need a little bit of a slope for drainage, but to even that out as much as possible to make it as level of a surface all the way across as possible, which has a lot of advantages for accessibility, the pedestrian ease of crossing the roadway, and then for events to have it feel like a much more flat surface. So those all were able to be accomplished.
You ran into tracks on the initially, right?
They found
Last year?
a few railroad ties. There was one like junction point, which I think they saved just to see if we can do something with it later, up underneath the West Water Street, like the west side of Water Street intersection. But most of the tracks had been removed in the 90s when they did the streetscape that we're currently replacing.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Zuloff.
I look forward to cars not getting stuck and unable to back out of diagonal parking when it's slippery. That's how steep the slopes were that people would be unable to leave.
Mr. McGookie,
Mr. Zuloff.
I'd like to recognize Mr. Kuntz. I forgot to name you when I came in before. I want to make sure. And Judy Corso also was added to the list, so.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chairman.
I just wanted to get, I'm sorry, I was going to ask a quick point of clarification, because I thought that Mr. Klein said the last time, or the last meeting, that they weren't going to do any paving until they had both sides approved. So are they going to do the west side and then the east side? And
For asphalt?
Yes.
The asphalt will come in all at once, so it'll be after the concrete is in place.
After the concrete,
Yeah.
after all the tear up is done on the
That's my
east
understanding.
side.
That's my understanding.
Okay, that's what I thought, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify. I'm sorry, David?
Yes, Aaron, could you remind me, on the table intersections, are they actually lit a little higher than the other road as a traffic calming thing, and you mentioned the pattern. Is that in brick, or how is the pattern made?
The pattern is cut with a saw, and so it's just like a score, it's a saw cut in the concrete, and it will just be concrete. We originally had designed the crosswalks to have pavers in them, but we had to cut that for budget reasons. So the crosswalks will just have a smaller, I think it's about like a 2 foot by 2 foot cut pattern, and then the intersection part will have like a 5 by 5, like a bigger concrete cut. So it'll just, you'll be able to see by the markings where the crosswalk is. There'll be also like a stripe on each side of the crosswalk to really define those areas. The tables are as level with the crossing surface as possible to make the pedestrian crossing really close. They do have an intersection or a traffic calming function. That's part of the reason why we designed it that way. So because of the slope coming down, you're actually going to experience, I'm exaggerating, but you're going to experience like driving down and then kind of leveling off, driving down and leveling off in a vehicle. So it's not going to feel like you're going up and over the table that you would find on a more level roadway, because we have quite a slope towards the water, if that makes sense. You'll have to experience it to really see what that looks like, but the slopes are really interesting for that reason on the street.
Okay.
I also want to mention the pedestrian crosswalks are clearly defined now by caution tape. They have prepped those surfaces and compacted the stone and made sure that they're as safe and level as possible. And those are the safest places to be crossing. And we ask people to stay out of the work zones. We've seen a lot of people just hopping down into the work zones, and that's not, there's trenches and holes and piles of dirt that you can sink into. It's not a safe place to be walking through. So please stay on the pedestrian, like where the crosswalks are where we have the crosswalks ready for people to be using.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions regarding Columbus Ave's streetscape?
It's exciting.
It is. It's interesting to see it, the progress. All right, Shelby Street boat ramp, dock replacement.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to say that this is just as exciting as Columbus Ave, but maybe. But we are in the process. This is the time of year we usually get the docks in over the Shelby Street boat launch. It's been a little breezy, so they've got the crane over there getting ready to do it, but they're going to have to wait until things calm down a little bit before they put in the current docks that we have down there. I'm just letting everybody know that we do have an order placed. I just got confirmation this morning. We're replacing the first phase of the docks down at the boat launch. As you know, they've been there for probably, some of them been there 30 plus years, so they're well past their wear. Our first phase is to replace these 5 docks right here, which would be the courtesy docks, the dock that we currently use for the fire department and ODNR that has a gate on it. And our plan is to, we're using easy docks. Those are the sort of docks that we have over at Pipe Creek Launch right now. We've had good feedback for those docks out there. We're also, with this middle launch dock here, the 3 dock, is we're making this a more robust with larger piles for keeping that dock in year round, because we've had a lot of feedback that as soon as we pull all these docks, if we have late fishing, walleye fishing, things that are happening in November, December, it's pretty difficult to get your boat launched. So that will be a more robust dock that we plan on leaving in year round. This will have, the ODNR and fire department dock will have more piles around it. We've had, when we get a big northeast wind, that gets knocked around quite a bit, and the boats will push the dock back and forth. So that will be a more robust system in that dock as well. And then commission approved purchase. It was roughly $244,000 to replace these first 5 docks at the boat launch. In next year's capital budget, we will replace this 6th dock, which has 5 fingers that come off of it. So currently, we're putting in all the docks the old docks that we have currently, but we're seeing a timeline since that order got placed today. Once we find out when those new docks are available, we may hold back on one of the docks, just if we can install one of the, the new ones. And because to put those piles in, they're gonna have to basically put like a little dam in there and get those driven in and then put that dock in. So we'll try and be as communicative as we can on letting people know what's going on with those docks and have some signage down there. But this is the time of year. I think we have a fishing tournament even scheduled as early as next Saturday, and probably a dozen tournaments throughout the year that we've had we get quite a bit of people and tournaments that want to come to the area because of the bay and being protected when the weather doesn't quite cooperate. So, questions on those?
Has the work been bidded out at this point in time?
Yes.
Completely?
It was through a Sourcewell contract, so it's a cooperative purchasing. So it was, we went with the Easy Dock system. And the second phase won't quite be that 244,000, but that was, our first phase was important to get those first 5 done.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Zuloff.
I think that's a pretty complete report. All sounds pretty good. While you're up here, because I think you might know the answer, and I don't see it on the agenda elsewhere, the Pipe Creek canoe launch docks, there appears to be a little bit of damage sustained because of the spuds getting, or the ice heaving or pushing the docks around. Are we, or do you know if we're going to be able to do something about that? I don't even know. They've got steel pipe spuds. I don't know if they're driven or if they're just resting on the bottom, but they,
The same company.
fare well.
The same company that does install our docks for us and take them out. They did not take those out this past year, so they were in there for kind of the ice and the duration. So they are resetting those. That could be as early the same time frame. Resetting those and getting those repaired.
Okay. Were they supposed to have been taken out, or is it just something happened, or was it an experiment to see if they'd survive? Or
they should have been, but the weather was a little wonky last year around that time. So
because I did notice some damage too that I'll have to look at.
they will be repairing that at no cost to the city. So.
They're on it. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hey, Mike got my question.
All right.
Now, I would also let everybody know, we do have the Humane Society 5K is this Saturday, and with the construction going on, if you're around Saturday morning, there will be about 400 runners on the Sandusky Bay pathway, going all the way to the boat launch and then coming back. So there's a big event this weekend, if you're wondering why all these people are running for maybe no reason, but other than staying healthy. So
Tell them to bring their raincoats.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a wet run.
They reduced
Sounds
the
like.
amount of rainfall we're supposed to get on
Galoshes.
Saturday and Sunday.
Chairman,
They did?
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
I, not exactly what we talked about so far, but by Kiwanis Park, where they've cleared all that, there's a drainage thing that runs along the causeway, across from the Cedar Point housing, and it's all cleared out, and it's left with like chopped up wood and stuff, like a big machine kind of ground it, is there any other plans for redevelopment there? Is that part of like repaving that parking lot and stuff there? Is anything else going to happen there? Or there's that natural canoe launch back there that I'm.
right, that we all brought in wheelbarrows full of mulch to get that in there probably a couple of years ago. But yeah, the Kiwanis Park side, Aaron Klein could talk more to that project of what they did over there, but I know in our capital plan, we've got funds allocated to fix that parking lot at some point. I don't know how soon that would be. We also need to make some improvements over in the Pipe Creek side, and maybe extend that parking lot a little bit over on that side too. So I don't know what the timeline is for Kiwanis, but I think that the lot that's on the east side of the shelter, that lot is scheduled for some improvements for this year, but then I think the next one and getting access back in there for kayaks and canoes is in the plan, but I don't think it might be next year or the year after.
Any other questions? Jason. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, old business, indicating that there are no updates would be Lions Park erosion control, the landing, Sandusky Bay Pathway, Causeway Wetlands, the Jackson Street parking lot and hotel project, and the Battery Park PUD. Any questions anyone has that we can take back since Mr. Klein's not here, but Erin would obviously try to do her best to answer us.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Zuloff.
Yes, none of these, but I encounter on a regular basis the little section of Huron Avenue north of Monroe Street where you go to Safe Harbor Marina, formerly Sandusky Harbor, and also River Avenue seem to have perennial stormwater problems. Maybe storms don't even exist, I'm not sure. And I'm under the impression that plans are in place, and Huron Avenue in particular looks like someday it could be part of the pathway. I wonder if anything's slated for that, and I understand if there isn't, because I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there's just a lot of projects, but those are Huron Avenue. I don't hear many complaints about, but I do hear River Avenue seems to be a source of constant irritation from some folks because of water pooling and not draining properly. And I believe Ms. Blair is well aware of one area in particular that's been contentious. Do we know anything? And maybe you don't, but maybe we could frame it as a question for Mr. Klein.
Yeah, I can pass those questions along. It's my understanding River Avenue doesn't have a stormwater system, and there's problems with the fact that it's so close to the bay and at the elevation it is, that even if you put in drainage, it would just, the bay would just,
right.
There's only so much that the water can go, depending on how high the bay is there, but.
Short of diking it and pumping it,
I'm not an engineer, that's just some understanding, but I will definitely bring those questions to Mr. Klein.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
And taking it to the west side, I mean, this is kind of like pathway adjacent, but I've noticed recently, apparently, installation of some large pipe. It looks like kind of corrugated on the outside, but smooth on the inside. It's probably 24 inches or more. Is that related to the flooding problems over by Toffs and stuff that we experienced last year? Is that, I'm just speculating about what's going on there. I haven't really heard.
I couldn't hear where.
On the west side.
The west side, over by Toffs, over that, along there, they've been, where you go in, if you're coming into town from the west and you go into the curve by the bank, there was a bunch of pipe that was pre-positioned over there, and I've seen crews trenching along on the south side of the street, pretty big, but I just speculate that that's related to the drainage issues we had on that side of town last spring or summer, and I'm looking for confirmation of that.
Yeah, I 100% have no clue about that, but I will bring that question to him too.
Thanks. Other items from Ms. Blair. All right. No one from the community here today, so we don't have that. So the next item would be
Move to
motion
adjourn.
Second. Mark and Joe, thank you. We are adjourned.
Oh, I get in the
That's how I get in the business.
I've been fine.
Don't forget to spell it J-O.